Hey folks, Chris Mackey here with UT Extension in Unicoi County. This is part 3 in our mini-series on indoor plants. And we've already covered part 1, selecting and types of indoor plants that are most suitable for indoors and the easiest to care for. We've also talked about in part 2, the proper containers that your plants need to be put in at your home or your office. This is part 3, repotting your indoor plants. And so what we've done is we've gone ahead and I've purchased an aloe plant, and I'm going to show you guys the proper ways and techniques to go ahead and put him in his container. But before we do that, and any time that I do any kind of arts and crafts or anything that we're going to get our hands a little bit dirty on, I always tell everybody, go ahead and put down some kind of barrier or some kind of cover on your tables so that you don't harm your tables, and it makes for an easy, quick cleanup. And so I've got just a green vinyl tablecloth here that we're going to use that makes the cleaning process really, really easy. So once you've done that, go ahead and get all of your materials together. So first and importantly, I have my plant. This is a little aloe plant. I have my container that I'm going to be putting my aloe plant in. And then I also have my growing medium. This, anytime that I put or get new soil or potting mixture, I go ahead and put it in one of these types of containers, particularly here in the office, because it's just so much easier to put it in these tubs and store them rather than putting them in their plastic bags, and it still keeps them fresh and good for your potting mixtures. So so let's go ahead and get started repotting our aloe plant. Now, what I always like to do first is, when I've got my containers, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my plant in and see where he sits. And you can see he sits down pretty far in that container. So what we really want is for him to sit probably about a ½ inch from the top of the container, or maybe even slightly less than that. So the base of him should be somewhere just above or just below the top of the container. So what we'll go ahead and do, and to also minimize your mess, you can go ahead and put your container inside the tub. This is another reason that I really like to do this. And I'm going to put a little bit of growing medium on the bottom, shake it out, make sure it's even. And then I'm going to gently tap. Place your plant back in to see where he needs, and that's pretty darn close to where he needs to sit. Maybe could go just a nickel higher. We might just put in just a little bit more growing medium. Last time, make sure he sits where he needs to be, and that's about where he needs to sit. I won't take this out. Excellent. Anytime that you have these types of tags, make sure that you read these, because if you're unsure of maybe what type of watering this plant needs, sunlight, soil mixture, fertilizing, these tags can give you some really good details and insight on what kind of care these indoor plants need. So you can actually save these as well. So maybe you want to go back and read for references. These make good reference tabs. So I've got my soil in, or my potting mixture in my container. I'm going to go ahead and put my plant in. I'm going to tilt him slightly, and I'm going to squeeze around the center of the plant, and I'm going to pull him out just gently. Very good. Now, a lot of people like to go ahead, and particularly me, kind of loosen up the roots a little bit, just to kind of help them spread out. They can get root bound really, really easily. So breaking them up, you don't want to rip them apart because you can actually hurt the plant, but make sure you rip them up just slightly. The other good thing, or thing you need to think about, is where he's going to sit. So he needs to sit as center of the container as possible. So what you need to do is kind of hold him in place, and then with your other hand, you're going to put your potting mixture around him and fill it up all the way around. Now, this is a very general potting mixture. If we were doing African violets or another kind of succulent or cactus, you can actually use more specific potting mixtures that are even more suited to your plants. This is just a general indoor potting mixture that I've got from the local garden center, and so it still does a really good job with your plants. However, if you wanted to use something that was a little more specific, like a succulent mixture, you could definitely go ahead and use that if you'd like. But a general potting mixture like this is pretty good all around for any kind of indoor plant. So make sure when you're putting your soil in that you gently tap around it to help keep him in line where he needs to be, your plant, and that he's not wobbling around. Clean off the sides and the edges. And there you go. That's all you need for repotting your indoor plants. Now, the only other thing that we might need is a little bit of water, because he was pretty dry and this soil is dry as well. Now, while these plants do like a drier soil, it's always a good idea to go ahead and give your plants just a nickel bit of water and something to drink to give them a good fresh start and getting them in the right direction. So that's all that I have today, folks. If you have any questions at all about repotting or on indoor plants, feel free to contact me. My information is on the bottom line right there. So call me, email me. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. Until next time, we'll see you around. Thanks, guys.